You go, babe.
No, go ahead.
So my name's Justin Rothingshofer, founder of Own It, a health and wellness coaching company. And the biggest reason that I'm here is really just to pour into everybody. If I was to take a step back and look at myself 5 years ago, I was living a very different life. And it's amazing to see what can happen when you fully submit to what God's calling you to. And when you can step into that powerfully and take ownership of that, life is completely different.
My name is Elise Gollin. I am Justin Rothingshofer's wife and also co-founder of the business, CEO of Own It Coaching. And I am here for every single one of you. And I'm here because God asked me to be here. I'm so excited to just see what he's going to be doing in this room. The quality and the hearts of every single person here has been truly amazing. And I know God is going to do amazing things.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Alyssa Cardi, and I'm here for friendship and family. And also, I just can't help but feel like the next 2 days are just a culmination of everything that you have walked through the past 9-10 months of this year of faithfully and obediently doing all the things that God's called you to do. And I feel like there's going to be major breakthrough and healing and solutions and all the things that God's setting you up to do coming into this next quarter.
You guys know me.
My name is Gary Andrus. I'm here to support, to love, to be obedient, to be submissive to the Lord, and just go on these world travels with my wife and pour into everybody. Hallway ministry is what I like to call it. You'll find me in the hallway always finding somebody and just getting on their level and connecting as much as possible. So just being obedient and submissive there, I love it. I'm excited for the next 2 days.
Hey, I'm Ashley Weston, owner and designer of Hidden Truth Jewelry, and I am here to be your cheerleader for Jesus and for business. I want to drop some joy bombs to you, and I just want to encourage you to draw close to the Lord in intimacy and the joy that is possible in your business, the overflow to each other, as well as just feeling that life of fullness with him.
And I'm Kristen Kingsbury. I am the owner of Get Some Assets, Inc., and my passion and my wisdom is around generational wealth building through real estate, and I'm here because as I look at the world, the one thing that keeps people from being missionaries from God often at the level that they could is the lack of finance. So I'm here to bless you with knowledge about that.
And she's brilliant. So if you need more money in your life, honey, go see Kristen. And yes, she said get some assets. This is a faith-driven conference. I want to talk to Tiffany first because I believe all of us are starting movements of some sort. God has asked you individually to move, and when you move, you often find that you have people following you. Whether you're moving into the light or away, you always create community, and she is an ultimate community builder. Raise your hand if you would like more people to be on your movement with you. Yeah, right. So this is why this panel is so critical, and she is the one that I always go to when I need this information. So Tiff, what would you say is the most foundational premise of building a movement?
Ooh, all right, we're diving into the deep end here. I would say ultimately, it's a fruition of everything that God has called you to be. And then community gets to be the thing that comes around and supports those things. And I feel like oftentimes people think of it as the opposite of like, oh my gosh, like I need to do everything that everyone else wants me to be. And then ultimately, that's not you fulfilling the God mission that he has on your life. And so it's getting really clear on the things that God has called you to do. And then what you're asking people to partner with you, to build with you, and how they can come alongside of you to support the main thing.
Yeah, that's good. Can you brag about yourself a little bit, because I know you never would, and talk about Gals That Brunch and kind of how that movement was birthed and how fast the Lord has developed it and grown it and in how many countries and all those things?
Oh gosh, okay. All right, so I was moving around cross country every 2 years. I previously worked in higher education. Every single time I moved to a new city, I'm like, how do you make friends? And what does this look like? And I'd go get involved into a local church. I'd go join a softball team. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And what I didn't realize at the time is how natural we have systems built into around us through family units, school units, going to college, your first jobs. And when all those things are removed, like, what does it look like? Who are you in the process? And it took me probably close to 2 years to feel like, when I did my first big cross-country move, to like feel settled, to feel like I had my people. And then I found out my work was moving me again, and I was like, not again! Like, what is this gonna look like? And I just felt like the Lord was like, Tiffany, it's time for you to start inviting people to your table versus waiting around for someone else to invite you to theirs. And so I did a desperate Facebook post out there, and I said, I don't know anyone in the area. I just moved to the area. I have a dog in Virginia Beach. Someone be my friend. And all of a sudden, a bunch of people responded, and I was like, okay, cool. We're going to go to brunch. And over 30 women ended up showing up that morning. Everybody was laughing, crying their eyes out, being like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not the only one that's longing for something more. Now, fast forward, almost 8 years later, we are now in 175 different cities around the world, all 6 continents. If you know anyone in Antarctica, let us know. And over 25 nations of women that are getting together on a monthly basis to pursue community together. And then ultimately, community is the vehicle, but what I say happens in community is that we all have an opportunity to walk in greater levels of freedom, because you have people across the table reminding you who you are. And so it's creating a world where people are walking in more freedom and everything that God has called them to be. And I think I get questioned a lot of times of like, okay, is this Christian, not Christian? And honestly, it creates a visceral reaction within me, because I'm like, what about everybody else? And creating spaces that bring people from all walks of life together so that they can see Jesus' brilliance on display through my life and through those that love him.
I feel like that alone is a question that a lot of people have when they even hear about what FounderCon is, and they're like, faith and business collision, and it feels sticky, and it feels raw, and it feels heady, and it feels like friction, and it feels like that's like, no, you don't do that. And so I love the way that you build community, and I love the way that family is represented there too, which is what the heart of FounderCon is. So thank you for sharing. And if you guys are looking to grow your movements, go find Tiffany this weekend. She is an open book. All right, I'm going to turn the mic to Justin and Elise. And I loved learning, even just last night, some more of Elise's testimony in regards to what she used to be doing and the 5-year not knowing vision that she has then stepped into, working alongside your spouse, doing something totally outside of what was the corporate arena, a fast-paced, hustle-hard lifestyle. And you guys both are very, very intentional about your health. That's what Own It is all about. And so can we talk a bit about what it's like to step away from corporate? Because I know there are people in the room who are like, I know I need to, but there's like safety nets connected to corporate. And so talk to us about that journey, and then you guys can both share about, from the health lens, how you help people, and what does that look like from a marriage to stay healthy in your marriage while you pursue your dreams.
Absolutely.
It's a lot, so I can cue you up again.
Thanks, Tamara. So yeah, as Tamara mentioned, the last 5 years has been a wild roller coaster for me. My life 5 years ago looks totally differently than it does today. And 5 years ago, I was living in Manhattan in New York City, working for a luxury fashion house as an executive. And I just felt a God calling to start to step away, but I sat on it for 3 years. I completely ignored it because I was comfortable. I was living this amazing life that I thought I was supposed to be living. And then ultimately, Justin will tell you a little bit about his story, but he completely changed his life as well. And I started to see him really follow God in an amazing way and just be obedient to that calling. And so once I started to kind of like dip my toe in the water and say, okay, this is what it might look like. And then I just took baby steps to the point where, for a year I was actually working 2 full-time jobs. I was an executive in corporate at a luxury fashion house, and I was also co-founding and starting to be the CEO of Own It Coaching. And ultimately it got to a point where God was like, go, this is it. And he just pushed me into the deep end. And ever since then, I've really just been listening to his voice and listening to his calling. And it's completely different than how I lived, my life the prior 20 years. But it has been the most fruitful, most fulfilling most challenging. Now, let me be honest, I asked for a challenge, and God absolutely gave me a challenge. Not only am I the CEO of a pretty new business within the last few years, but I also tag team with my husband, and I'm sure there are people in the audience who work with your spouse, and it is not the easiest thing, but it has absolutely brought us closer, created depth in our relationship with God, and really strengthened our marriage as well.
Yeah, I think just to kind of piggyback on that, as I saw Elise step over, everything that she had learned in the corporate setting, she's not doing anything in Own It that she's not already a rock star in. And I call that time that maybe you might be finding yourself in, it's just your carpenter phase. It's just you're honing your skills in a different arena. And the moment that you're willing to step into that calling that like God's pulling you towards, you're going to be able to go in and you're going to thrive. And it's just having the courage to say yes to what it is that's coming forth. And oftentimes people are like, well, I don't know what God's calling me to. Like it's Simon Sinek, I say, ruined it for everybody with saying, like putting this massive pressure on your why and your purpose. And well, how do I find that? And I often talk about this acronym, slow is smooth, but smooth is fast. And slow stands for stillness, silence, surrender. So how do you find stillness, silence, and surrender daily? It's a practice that I've gone through in breath work in the sauna every single day that I'm able to actually lean into that. So stillness, silence, surrender gives you the opportunity to listen so that you can actually hear what he's saying to you. You can hear what you're being called to. Gives you the opportunity to be obedient, actually take action, step into it, and then gives you the wisdom to know what to do next. And so if you can just continue to follow that, it starts to just manifest in a completely different way. And all of a sudden, 3 years later, you've got a company that has employees and teams and helping people in all over the continent in a really powerful way, and really empowering people to take ownership of their health that, quite frankly, you weren't operating in before. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, honey. Thanks,
I
honey.
love that. So good. And there's also a richness to the element of health, and I don't want to miss that, even though this is movements, marriages, and ministries. Let's take 2 minutes on just the importance of health connected to how we're going to show up, because this is not easy work. You alluded to the heartache, the struggles that are associated to it, and we know alignment is really where it all is. It's that spiritual alignment, relational, emotional, all of those. But when we are out of whack, it will destroy what it is that God has positioned in front of you. Can you talk a bit about your intentionality in that?
Yeah, so there's two things that I often talk to when I look at health. And when people think about health, they think, oh, fitness and nutrition. And I want to put a major X through that because it's holistic. It's everything. You can't differentiate between mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional stress. And so when I come back and I say, I want to help you perform better, people think performance as an outcome. Oftentimes when I ask people to define it, they'll say winning or results or achieving goals. But those are just outcomes. When we actually think about the definition of performance, I drive it back to the ability to have a desire and capacity to intentionally and consistently behave at a level equal to your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional potential. And it's not a desire issue any of you have. We all have the desire to have a business. We all have the desire to have the influence. We all have the desire to have a platform. We all have desire to have energy. But it's a capacity issue.
That's good.
And the capacity issue that we have is just concurrent with the intention and the consistency of our habits. And if we can actually start to get clarity on what that is for us in each and every one of the domains of mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health, that's when we can transform our ability to show up, because we know that this is a temple that's just carrying the Spirit of God, that's carrying our calling. And if we don't have the capacity to step into it with what it is that we've been called to, there's no way that we're stewarding what we've been given. And if we can't steward it well, we will not be able to be blessed further, because we know that we don't own anything. God owns everything, and that includes this thing that we're embodying.
That's good.
If we do not, we have the ability to either grow what he's given us or shrink it. Number 3, if we shrink it, we will not be given anything more to be trusted with. And 4, we can be called into accountability at any time. And so when we think about our health, the intention and consistency of behaviors will empower you to do more than you could have ever possibly thought.
So great. Thank you so much for that. Can you guys give them a round of applause? So good. You're ready to own your health in a whole new way. They are incredible. So definitely find them. And Justin's actually also running a panel tomorrow, and so is Tiff. So you guys will get to be with them more tomorrow. I want to lean into Kristen around, you hear it, emotional, spiritual, all those things. And then the big hey, and financial. Right? Like that financial piece is so lucrative. We're actually going to be sharing about it a bit, how it's connected to Founder. But talk to us about how real estate has been such an aid to you in that regard, but also you're building movements. You do ministry all the time with your real estate agents and with the homeowners. So talk about that and the growth of the finances connected to it.
Oh, it's just in me, so it has to come out of me. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in front of me, that's what you're going to get. And so sometimes... so I run a real estate team, and I've got, my hands in all things real estate. And the reason being is growing up without much, I realized you can't work and get ahead. You can't trade time for money and expect to get ahead. Nobody pays you that well. At least in my experience, I've never seen a job that pays you well enough to get to your goals without having some passive income. So from the time I was very young, I was like, I am on a mission to never have a need. I'm not going to need money. It's going to be there for me to bless people with. But along the way, as I've built teams and as I've, built businesses and stewarded clients and whatnot, oftentimes there's this block or this, this mental block that I can't because there's a lack of money. And one of the things that God showed to me early in life was relationships. You don't need money to make money. You don't need money to build passive income. You need relationships. And God will put the right relationships into your life. My husband and I, when we were kids, had this dream to build spec homes. And we thought, well, we don't have any money. How in the world are we going to do that? And you all know who Zillow is. Zillow has all these people that register, and you're probably one of them. And they popped up, and I'm a real estate agent. And we got a lead from Zillow that actually belonged to another real estate agent and met with my husband, wanted to do put flooring or something in the house. And we showed up all the time. When we made a commitment, we worked hard, we did what we said we were going to do. And these people literally said to us, oh, you guys are building spec homes and borrowing money at 14%. That's expensive. What if I gave you the money to build this dream? And I thought to myself, who does that? I've known you for 15 minutes. You're going to give me... And they literally... I met these people, still, they bless us all the time. But the point is, we had no money. These people deposited $300,000 in our bank account and said, go build houses and just pay it forward and pay us back later. And so we did over and over and over again. And the aha in that moment was, it doesn't have to be me that has the money. It doesn't have to be, I don't have to come from a rich family in order to create the wealth. And oh my goodness, if I could be those people when I'm older and bless people in that way. So that's really been my mission, is how do I build wealth such that I can help other people move their missions forward?
Talk about breaking generational lies right there. That is so good. Because those are limiting beliefs that we have, and it's ultimately rooted in lies that have been passed generational to generational, and we get stuck in that place. And so I hope that was nuggets for people to be like, oh wait, I don't have to have that? We're going to talk about resources later, and that just really cued it up beautifully. Thank you. All right, I'm going to shift to Ashley over here, and I'm going to save my hubby best for last, no offense. And Ashley, one of the things I wanted you to be on the panel for is connected. Obviously, you have an incredible jewelry line, and the way in which you've cultivated that and the intimacy in which you cultivated it from, but also through your movement, you're creating healing ministry. And so I think we get in this place where, oh, it's a product line. Okay, she has e-commerce, and it's very business. So how do you blend your faith with your business, and how do you allow it to still touch the hearts of people who might not have the shared faith, but they love the jewelry?
So I would say, thank you for that.
All right, it's this way. So I would say, for me, it has everything in my life, business, marriage, raising kids, in ministry, has all flowed from the time with the Lord. And it is all required just surrender and obedience. It is all required a slowing down and a listening, which is not in my nature. It's not in my nature to be patient. It's my nature, give me my marching orders and let's go. I'm gonna, I'll be the one with the loudest, let's go. So of course, I feel like God has really used so many different vehicles, marriage, as well as this company, to be able to slow me down in everything, healing, salvation, deliverance, seeing people's lives changed has all come from just spending time with the Lord and literally getting my marching orders from Him. So I would impress upon you is, to make that time with the Lord in the morning a priority, to make that time to slow down and to listen and to be in the Word a priority is probably the most important time you can spend during the day. Because it was in those moments that the Lord gave me scripture for the business before it was birthed, just the structure, the framework, and even just the download of the foundation, which is prayer. Prayer is the foundation. A lot of people don't see that we pray over every single piece before it goes out, but then when you're in person, we pray over. And so we just come as a willing vessel in what God has said, being obedient, and we leave the results up to Him. The Lord said, just focus on the relationship, like He said, and I will do the rest. And He really has. And so it's always an adventure. Like I said, it's joy. It's so exciting because you never know what you're going to get. And my husband loves to go fishing, and we love going, to the Caribbean and go fishing. And so I tell him, selling jewelry and praying with others is like going fishing. You never know what the Lord's going to do. I will say the very first really powerful encounter I had with the Lord in business was when I was, in the very beginning stages of business, and someone came to my house to actually buy jewelry. I was selling out of my house, and I felt the nudge of the Lord to pray over her. And so as she was walking out the door, the Lord was like, what are you going to choose, faith or fear? And I'm like, oh, how about the next one, Lord? So, but I chose faith. And so she looked at me like I was really strange. Like, we do not mix faith and business. Like, that's just weird, but I did it anyways. And after I prayed for her, what poured forth was just identity. And when we got done, she was literally tears streaming down her face. And she said, thank you. No one has ever done anything that special for me. And my heart was broken, because, wow, I feel like I've taken so much for granted with special things and having a mom that prays and things like that. So that really impacted me. And then, like Tamara said, with healing, I've been able to pray with people as they just comment on the jewelry. And so I'll be able to strike up a conversation if the person is interested. We'll talk about the scripture, and has led to salvations. It's led to actually praying and laying on of hands when someone says, well, actually, can you pray for this shoulder that's hurt? We were at a conference just a couple of weeks ago, and God literally healed her shoulder of pain that she had had for years. So if you just make yourself available, if you just get over yourself, and if you just say, okay, yes, God, whatever that is, I'll trust you, even if I feel like it's going to be weird. You're going to do so much more. I'm going to focus on loving the one that's in front of me, listening to them, letting them feel seen and present. And you can do immeasurably more than all I ask or imagine. So I just encourage you, be strong and courageous. Press into the Lord in the morning and spend that time with Him. And then just have your eyes open to what He wants to show you, and just do it. It's exciting.
So good. I love that. Just do it, Nike. Let's go. All right. I didn't save the best for last because all of you guys are amazing, but I have obviously a special kindred thing here, and he said, only ask me one question. I will do my best to only ask you one question, but to give you honor and to give honor where honor is due, I'll get emotional. This wouldn't be happening if he wasn't alongside me. And it's so often that when you see things like this and all the lights and all the glitter and all the glam, you're like, man, they got it. They have the resources. They have exactly what they need. It looks like perfection. And that is not our testimony. So if you don't know our testimony, we happily share it at any point. Not doing that right now. But people ask me often, how do you do what you do? And Sharon, wherever you are in the room, has often asked, who is your mentor?
And I obviously go to the Lord, and I really think about this often, like, who is that? And he really is my CEO, but he's my biggest mentor. He has been an entrepreneur much longer than I have. He has walked through fires. As a family, we've walked through fires. We've done it as a marriage. We've done it individually sometimes that I don't even know, and I don't like when he does that. I'm like, you're wearing it on your face. What's happening? And you're snoring, so stop. But all of the real of our relationship is I come to him, and I want whoever is in this room who is married and their spouse is present with you today. Can you guys please stand up? I want you guys to see how many married couples are here. Look at this. That's so powerful. So powerful. So honor where honor is due. I mean, this is biblical understanding. But babe, I want you to tell the real of what it's like to be in a home and stewarding a home and being a provider of a home. One, when your wife is nutty and has really big dreams, and also leaves home, and he becomes the hands and feet of Jesus in that moment, and also the hands and feet of mama, because mama's not there. And so having an entrepreneurial home and what that looks like, so that people who might be jumping into entrepreneurship for the first time don't have as much fear, but also have full faith.
Yeah, so I really like so much of what we've already spoke with as a panel. Like, Justin, you've hit so much. I mean, you're literally like robbing the words out of my mouth, and I'm like, go get it. I was just gonna say ditto, Justin. Like that's everything right there. But I believe that it's a gift, you know. I love recognizing things as gifts, and even the gifting in us, like when we're entrepreneurial, we tend to wear 10 hats. And you know, the number one thing you got to do is delegate out, fire yourself on 7 of those hats so that you're just in the gifting of the 3, right? But when we can recognize the gifts of each other, and I can allow her as much as possible to sit in your gifting, and you can allow me as much as possible to sit in my gifting, then it's the least stressful, you know? At home, we practice something called landscape design. And it's literally that simple. It's just we are in charge of designing our landscape. And that goes down to nutrition. Like, I can choose to put bananas out, or I can choose to put cookies out. I'm in charge of that landscape. The same way that your yard is landscaped. You're in charge of that. So the really cool thing is the landscape design of our house has so much intentionality. And that meshes into how well we work together in business. I as much as I'm a mentor to you, you're a mentor to me, and also the children. Like, the really cool thing is we're showing the kids that this is possible, right? And we're leading by example, right? So it's not, they don't know what they don't know, right? So they think it's perfectly normal, right? Our lives, you know? And it could look chaotic from the outside, or it can look the versions of perfection, which is completely not. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just to know that this isn't ours, and we're stewarding this, and we're just doing the best that we can, moment by moment, day by day, with intentionality, setting forth landscape design, sitting in our gifts.
Good. Can you give him a round of applause? Just for me. Honestly, if you could just applaud everyone up here. We are going to have time. Go ahead. Yeah, you guys are amazing. There will be time, obviously, to interact and ask some questions to people, and I want to give space for that. So make sure that if you do have a lingering question, that you either approach them directly and ask it, or save it for when we'll have some Q&A with the MCs later, okay? Thank you guys so much for being up here with me, and we're going to move on to the next part. Let's go. Group photo. Oh.
You too. Now I need some jewelry.
Good job, babe.